Every negative comment, every obstacle, every difficult person, what if none of it ever got to you again? Imagine that for a moment. You're moving effortlessly through life's storms. Challenges still come, of course they do, but now you face them without a ripple of anxiety, without the emotional turbulence that used to overwhelm you. This isn't just wishful thinking, it's possible, and by the end of this video, you'll have everything you need to truly master emotional detachment, to remain calm, steady, and powerful, no matter what happens around you. You've probably met people who have that ability. People who seem completely unaffected, who maintain composure in even the worst situations. They walk through life effortlessly. They're respected, admired, and often secretly envied. But here's a secret. They aren't special. They just know something most people don't. That emotional control and detachment can be mastered by anyone willing to practice a few key principles. You see, the power of emotional detachment doesn't mean you stop feeling. It means you've learned to observe your emotions without being controlled by them. It's about remaining steady even when life pushes you hard. Have you noticed how easily most people lose themselves to trivial frustrations? A rude comment, slow internet, a flat tire, and suddenly their day is ruined. Their mind spirals, they complain, lash out, lose hours of productivity. Maybe this has happened to you. But ask yourself, how many of these tiny frustrations will matter 5 years from now? Exactly. Almost none of them. And yet we willingly give these insignificant things incredible power over our emotional state. What if you decided, right now, to stop giving your precious mental energy to insignificant events? The secret to becoming unshakable starts right there, in deciding what deserves your emotional investment and what doesn't. Because in reality, every reaction you have is a choice. Yes, a choice. Think about someone who insults you. What's your immediate response? Anger, defensiveness, maybe hurt feelings. But let's take a step back. What if you smiled calmly, thanked them, and walked away? What happens then? I'll tell you what happens. You take their power away. They expected you to react. They fed off your emotion. When you give them nothing, they're left powerless. This is the silent strength that comes with emotional detachment. And isn't it interesting how the strongest, most respected individuals throughout history have always been those who remained composed under pressure? They're the leaders, the visionaries, the ones who inspire others simply by their calm presence. People sense their strength, respect their power, and naturally want to follow. Why is that? It's because control of self is the highest form of influence. When people realize you cannot be shaken, they understand, implicitly, that you possess a deep strength they themselves lack. This grants you respect without ever needing to demand it. Have you ever noticed that those who constantly seek approval, those who need validation, are always emotionally unstable? One negative comment can throw them off entirely. But people who stop chasing validation, they become truly powerful. They're no longer puppets pulled by external opinion. Think about yourself right now. How much of your actions are dictated by needing others' approval? What if tomorrow you woke up and stopped needing it? Imagine the freedom, the mental clarity, the powerful aura of confidence you'd carry if other people's opinions held no power over you. It's not about becoming arrogant or dismissive. It's about having clarity of purpose. Because when you're clear about your goals, trivial opinions lose all their relevance. The next time someone criticizes you, ask yourself one simple question. Does this person's opinion really matter to me? Are they someone I respect deeply, whose judgment is worth my attention? Most of the time, you'll realize the answer is no. But what about criticism that does matter? Constructive criticism from respected sources. Should you ignore that too? But even then, Learn to separate the value from the sting. Don't react immediately. Pause, breathe, analyze calmly. Take what's useful, disregard the rest, and move forward. Because when you learn to process criticism objectively, without emotion clouding your judgment, you become unstoppable. Every setback becomes a stepping stone, every criticism a tool for improvement. Consider someone whose business has just collapsed. For most, that's devastating. But for someone emotionally detached, it's simply data, feedback they use to rebuild stronger, smarter, more resilient. And that's exactly why those who master this skill consistently outperform those who don't. It's not that emotionally detached people don't care. It's precisely because they deeply care about the right things. They care about their goals, their inner peace, their long-term success, not temporary discomfort or fleeting setbacks. How can you practice this powerful detachment in everyday life? Start small. Next time you're stuck in traffic, instead of frustration, see it as an opportunity to pause, breathe, reflect. Turn inconvenience into mindfulness practice. As you practice, expand the method into larger setbacks. Relationship ends unexpectedly. Pause, breathe, observe your emotions without being swept away. Allow yourself to feel without letting feelings dictate your actions. The truth is that emotional detachment doesn't rob you of joy. Quite the opposite. It enhances your joy. When you're not constantly shaken by minor irritations or disappointments, life becomes calmer, clearer, more genuinely fulfilling. Imagine a sailor navigating a stormy ocean. Does he panic at every wave, every gust? Of course not. He adjusts his sails, calmly assesses his course, and keeps moving forward. That sailor is you. Life will always bring waves, but your calm reaction determines your safe arrival. This leads to an important idea. Your internal state shapes your external reality. When your mind remains calm, your environment soon follows suit. Ever met someone whose very presence feels calming, who radiates confidence and stability without ever raising their voice? That's the power of inner composure, an energy that silently commands respect, trust, admiration. How do you become such a person? You begin by training your mind. Practice daily moments of stillness, meditation, silence, observing thoughts without judgment. Build discipline by actively choosing patience over anger, observation over reaction. Eventually, you'll notice something extraordinary. The world begins bending to your calmness rather than the other way around. Understand clearly. True strength isn't loud. It doesn't boast or react violently. True strength lies in quiet power, steady and unwavering. It's in responding, not reacting. Think carefully about the word reaction itself. Reactions are automatic, uncontrolled. A response, however, is deliberate, thoughtful, chosen consciously. The next time stress rises, consciously respond rather than react. Practice this every day, and soon the automatic reaction fades entirely. Calm, considered responses become your natural default. Think again about criticism. Instead of reacting defensively, respond by listening patiently. Instead of explaining or defending, respond by considering their viewpoint objectively. Instead of emotional turmoil, respond by calmly deciding whether their critique helps you grow. And here's something surprising. Silence itself can be one of your most powerful responses. Consider negotiations. Someone demands an immediate answer, pressures you. What happens if you quietly pause, think, remain silent for a moment? They grow uncomfortable. They start second-guessing. Suddenly, silence puts you in control, shifting the balance of power subtly but undeniably. This isn't just theory, it works in every interaction. Silence allows you to observe, to think strategically, to gather information, to reveal less. Silence commands respect precisely because it's rare and powerful. Have you noticed how most people talk endlessly, revealing insecurities and weaknesses through constant chatter? Silence, however, preserves mystery, commands attention, grants authority. Imagine yourself in future difficult conversations. Visualize how staying calm, silent, thoughtful makes others naturally gravitate towards you. Silence will become your ally, a subtle but powerful companion. Mastering this silence means mastering your emotions entirely. Your emotional state becomes a tool rather than a trap. You recognize emotions as fleeting visitors, not permanent residents. You allow them to pass, without holding on to anger or resentment. The greatest masters of emotional detachment are neither emotionless nor uncaring. They simply understand clearly nothing external should control their inner peace. This is your ultimate goal, to live each day deeply aware, deeply involved, deeply connected, yet completely untouched by life's turbulence. Challenges come, yes, but you stand calm. Criticism arises, yet you remain steady. Pressure builds, yet you remain still. Think carefully. How often do you let minor inconveniences dictate your entire day? A missed train, spilled coffee, or someone cutting you off in traffic can quickly escalate your stress. But why? Why hand over your precious emotional peace to situations that hold no long-term significance? The truth is, most people live in a reactive state. They allow every external event to provoke them emotionally. But ask yourself this: does getting angry or frustrated ever truly help? Does it improve the situation or enhance your well-being? Rarely, if ever. Instead, it drains your energy, clouds your judgment, and leads you into unnecessary conflicts. So how can you break free from this cycle? It begins with awareness. Observe yourself in stressful situations. Watch your emotions rise and recognize the exact moment when you start losing control. This simple awareness creates space, a space where you can choose a different response. Consider athletes at the top of their game. They don't just train their bodies, they train their minds rigorously. They anticipate pressure and prepare mentally. They visualize every possible scenario and rehearse their responses. So when pressure arrives, their reaction is calm and calculated, not frantic and emotional. You too can practice this. Next time you face stress, whether at work, in relationships, or daily interactions, visualize your calm response in advance. Mentally rehearse how you will stay composed, detached, and rational. Over time, this practice rewires your brain to naturally default to calmness rather than panic. You've probably heard the phrase, "stay calm under pressure," but have you ever considered how powerful that actually makes you? Remaining calm doesn't mean you never feel pressure. It means you've mastered your emotions to the point where external situations no longer control you. When others panic, you become the voice of reason. When others argue or fight, your silence and clarity speak louder than their words ever could. Your calmness becomes your greatest asset, admired and respected by everyone around you. And yet, so many people still fear silence. Why? Because silence feels vulnerable. It exposes insecurities. But once you embrace silence, once you allow yourself to be comfortable within it, it becomes your strongest ally. In silence, clarity emerges. In silence, your true intentions become obvious. Think about someone you admire greatly. Chances are they're not the loudest person in the room. They're often quiet observers, carefully choosing their words. When they speak, everyone listens. Why? Because silence amplifies their words, giving weight and authority to their thoughts. You have this power too. Begin practicing silence deliberately. When someone demands an immediate response, pause. Allow a moment of silence. Notice how quickly the dynamics shift. Suddenly, you're not reacting impulsively. You're thoughtfully responding, making deliberate, powerful decisions. But mastering silence isn't just useful in conflicts or negotiations. It's equally powerful in personal relationships. How often have you regretted something said impulsively in anger or frustration? Words spoken carelessly create lasting damage, yet silence, carefully used, can heal and build respect. Let's take a real-life example. Imagine a heated argument with someone you deeply care about. Words fly, emotions rise. What if, instead of retaliating, you paused silently, simply listening? In that moment, your silence communicates more compassion and strength than words ever could. It shifts the energy entirely, diffusing tension rather than escalating conflict. But true emotional mastery goes deeper. It requires letting go completely of outcomes you cannot control. This is perhaps the hardest part, accepting uncertainty and releasing attachment to results. Think about the last major disappointment you faced. Did you spend days or weeks replaying the scenario in your mind, asking, "What if?" That mental loop is a trap, one that keeps you stuck in the past, unable to move forward. Now, imagine approaching setbacks differently. Imagine you instantly accepted outcomes, good or bad, without emotional turmoil. This isn't resignation, it's empowerment. It's recognizing clearly what you can control, your responses, your actions, and releasing what you cannot, other people's choices, unforeseen events. This mindset transforms failures into lessons, setbacks into stepping stones. It frees your mind from unnecessary pain, frustration, and anxiety. Suddenly, life becomes a flow rather than a battle, fluid, adaptable, and fulfilling. Consider the story of someone who lost their job unexpectedly. Initially, they're devastated, consumed by worry and resentment. But after practicing emotional detachment, they realize the job loss wasn't personal. It was simply reality unfolding. They pivot quickly, using the setback as a chance to grow, explore new skills, or start something new entirely. In a short time, they're happier, more fulfilled, and grateful for the redirection. This is the power emotional detachment offers. It's not about becoming indifferent, it's about becoming wise, learning to separate your emotional well-being from external events. Because when your internal peace depends solely on circumstances outside yourself, you're vulnerable and easily shaken. But when your peace is internal, rooted deeply within, you become invincible. The practice of emotional detachment can be further enhanced by daily meditation or mindfulness routines. Each day, spend 10 minutes observing your thoughts without judgment or attachment. Watch emotions rise and fall like waves, never gripping onto them. Over time, this trains your brain to recognize emotions as temporary states, not permanent truths. Another powerful daily practice is journaling. Each evening, reflect on situations where you reacted emotionally versus those where you responded rationally. Gradually, you'll notice patterns. You'll see clearly how emotional detachment consistently improves your outcomes, relationships, and overall happiness. Remember, achieving emotional detachment is a journey, not a destination. There will be days you feel shaken, frustrated, or upset, and that's okay. The key is awareness. Recognize emotional turmoil as a signal, not a sentence. Each challenge you overcome strengthens your resolve, reinforces your emotional discipline, and moves you closer to total mastery. One day, you'll face a situation that previously would have destroyed your peace. Instead, you'll smile calmly, observe your emotions without losing control, and respond deliberately. In that moment, you'll understand fully what true emotional power feels like. It's peaceful, confident, unshakable, completely free from external influence. Now imagine waking up each day knowing nothing external can disturb you unless you allow it. Imagine the mental freedom, clarity, and strength you'd carry everywhere you go. No criticism, setback, or external event can steal your peace ever again. That's the promise of mastering emotional detachment. It's available to you right now. Start today. Choose calmness over chaos. Choose responses over reactions. And choose silence as your powerful ally. Step by step, you'll build a mindset that remains steady, clear, and unstoppable, no matter what life throws your way. Have you ever wondered why people are naturally drawn to calm individuals? It's because calmness radiates strength and reliability. When you're composed, you're signaling something powerful. You have complete control over yourself and, by extension, the situations you encounter. People instinctively trust someone who demonstrates consistent emotional stability. They sense that you're someone who can lead effectively, support others confidently, and navigate life's unpredictable waters without drowning in emotional chaos. Think about historical leaders who've inspired millions. They often shared a striking commonality: emotional resilience. They were not those who shouted loudly or lost their temper. They were the ones whose calm, unwavering resolve steered nations and inspired movements. They understood something profound: emotions, left uncontrolled, cloud judgment and diminish clarity. By remaining emotionally detached, these individuals could always see clearly and respond appropriately, no matter the circumstances. Now imagine applying this wisdom in your professional life. Most workplace conflicts occur not because of actual disagreements, but because emotions take control. Frustration, anger, resentment, these emotions escalate simple misunderstandings into major conflicts. But what if you became the person in your workplace who consistently remained composed under pressure? Soon, your colleagues and leaders would notice something special about you. In tense meetings, your calm suggestions stand out. When disagreements arise, your composed demeanor turns potential conflicts into productive discussions. Your emotional discipline positions you as a natural leader, someone dependable, mature, and trustworthy. And yet, many fear becoming emotionally detached, mistakenly equating it with a loss of empathy or warmth. But this couldn't be further from the truth. Emotional detachment enhances your empathy because it allows you to engage compassionately without losing yourself in another's emotional turbulence. You become the stable force, the anchor others rely on during storms. You remain empathetic, supportive, deeply human, yet unaffected by negativity and drama. But emotional detachment isn't just beneficial externally, it profoundly impacts your internal world. Consider your mind like a garden. Left untended, weeds, negative thoughts and emotions rapidly take over. But if you carefully manage this garden, consciously removing negativity and cultivating calm, positive states, you create an environment where peace, creativity, and clarity thrive. Each day, practice identifying emotional weeds, thoughts rooted in anxiety, anger, or frustration. Consciously acknowledge them, but don't feed them with your attention. Instead, calmly redirect your mind toward gratitude, acceptance, or constructive solutions. Over time, this practice reshapes your mental landscape. Negativity loses its grip, replaced by consistent emotional clarity and strength. Let's take a practical scenario. You face unexpected financial stress. Most people panic, consumed by anxiety about the future. But someone emotionally detached assesses the situation logically, calmly planning their next steps. Instead of spiraling emotionally, they use clarity to find solutions, explore opportunities, and regain financial control. They experience stress, yes, but they never allow it to overwhelm or define them. In relationships, too, emotional detachment proves transformative. How many conflicts arise simply because emotions escalate beyond reason? Imagine your partner or friend says something hurtful. Your immediate reaction might be defensiveness or anger, but emotional detachment offers an alternative. Instead of reacting impulsively, pause and ask, why are they saying this? What's the deeper issue behind their words? This detached curiosity quickly diffuses tension. Instead of arguing, you're engaging constructively. Your calmness shifts the conversation toward understanding rather than conflict. Over time, your relationships deepen, becoming richer and more fulfilling, because you've learned to navigate emotional waters without sinking. Another valuable perspective is understanding your ego's role in emotional reactions. Most negative emotional responses, anger, defensiveness, jealousy, are driven by ego. Your ego feels threatened and reacts to protect itself. But ask yourself, does defending your ego ever improve your life or relationships? Rarely. Usually, it creates more harm than good. Emotional detachment involves stepping outside the ego, viewing events objectively. You realize criticism isn't an attack, it's just words. Rejection isn't personal, it's simply a mismatch of needs or desires. Failures aren't humiliations, they're valuable feedback for growth. Freeing yourself from ego-driven reactions opens you to genuine self-improvement, stronger relationships, and profound inner peace. Practicing gratitude can significantly reinforce emotional detachment. Gratitude shifts your focus away from what's wrong toward what's already good and fulfilling. Each day, actively notice and appreciate the positive aspects of your life, no matter how small. Gratitude naturally builds resilience because it reminds you continuously that your happiness and peace are internal, not determined by external circumstances. Consider someone who's consistently grateful. Even in difficult times, they find something to appreciate. Supportive friends, a learning opportunity, their inner strength. This mindset rapidly transforms problems into opportunities, reducing emotional turmoil and enhancing overall contentment. Moreover, emotional detachment allows you to set healthier boundaries. When you're not emotionally reactive, you clearly recognize when others cross your boundaries. Calmly, assertively, you communicate your limits without anger or resentment. People quickly learn to respect these boundaries because they're enforced without drama or negativity. This dramatically improves your interactions, both personally and professionally. Interestingly, emotional detachment significantly boosts your productivity and creativity. When your mental energy isn't wasted on trivial frustrations, worries, or conflicts, you gain incredible clarity. This clarity enhances your focus, allowing deeper, more effective thinking and problem-solving. Tasks that previously seemed difficult or overwhelming become manageable, even enjoyable, because your mind remains consistently calm and clear. To continually reinforce emotional detachment, consider establishing routines that anchor your mind. Regular exercise, mindfulness practices, or hobbies that demand concentration, such as art, writing, or playing an instrument, can significantly stabilize your emotional baseline. These activities provide healthy outlets, reinforcing calmness, patience, and discipline. Over time, they become powerful tools for maintaining consistent emotional equilibrium. Ultimately, emotional detachment isn't just a tool, it's a philosophy of life. It teaches acceptance over resistance, calmness over chaos, and empowerment over victimhood. It fundamentally changes how you perceive and interact with your world. You no longer see life as something that happens to you, but as something you actively shape through your reactions and mindset. Each day becomes a practice, a chance to reinforce calmness, clarity, and resilience. Gradually, this approach transforms your character. Friends, family, and colleagues notice the shift. They respect you deeply, not because you've changed externally, but because you've gained profound internal control. You're stable, dependable, someone they look up to and aspire to emulate. Consider the legacy you want to leave behind. Is it one of emotional volatility and reactivity, or calm strength and emotional intelligence? Every interaction offers you a choice to embody emotional detachment, to choose calmness over chaos, response over reaction. Each choice reinforces your emotional mastery, ultimately shaping your life's quality and your impact on those around you. Embrace this path wholeheartedly. Commit today, right now, to becoming someone whose emotional resilience defines them. Because when you master your emotions, you master your life. Challenges become opportunities, setbacks become stepping stones, criticism becomes fuel for growth. And above all, you become truly unshakable, calmly and confidently navigating life with unwavering strength, clarity, and peace. To keep strengthening your Stoic mindset, click on the video shown on your screen right now. Thanks for being part of Stoic Journal.